I just want to come on here and talk about a topic that strikes me because in conversation with a lot of younger people, and when I say younger, I mean people from the ages, I'll say like 19 to 22 are more hungrier than ever, which is positive. More in want to pursue a bigger life, larger life, as opposed to whatever they have going on in their hometown. And this phenomenon is nothing different and nothing new to what the older generations or myself as an older Gen Z has gone through. There's always a phase or era of a bunch of people, entrepreneurs, misguided individuals that want something more than what they see around in their hometown. But I feel like today and age, I see more and more 19 to 22-year olds that want to hit this 10K goal life. And I ask them why. And the reason is simple because they just want to achieve and be surrounded by the finer things of life. I just want to talk about the power of being a late bloomer. I'm 26 and I only now feel like I have arrived. And I seriously mean it. It's only now I truly feel like I have arrived. When everyone else before in the workforce, or if I was out and about at the ages of 21, 22, making moves, starting my own business, moving to LA, pursuing acting, I told them the age and it was like, oh, you're a baby. I never felt like a baby at the time, nor did I even feel like I was behind or early. I just want to talk about the word of late. Who kind of even said that you are late? What age is defined as late or too early to hop on to something? Or are we just comparing ourselves, or behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel? And this is kind of provoking because it made me think about Kim Kardashian, someone that I really do look up to, a phenomenal woman who got her breakthrough around 27, 29. And I just really think it's just a lot of mistakes and positioning and the right time collectively. So in this video, I kind of want to go through the beauty of just being a late bloomer, ladies and gents. A lot of my work, I would reference Gossip Girl. And there's this saying, you're nobody until somebody writes about you. And if we look at the life of Kim Kardashian, for example, she'd been hustling in Hollywood for a long time. She was Paris Hilton stylist. She opened Dash with her sisters. But we only kind of saw her when she made that certain tape. Think about it. It was about 10 years of positioning mistakes and failure before she really got something going for herself in Hollywood. And who's to say she was late? Or was it that those 9 years were just kind of pretty much, she was just invisible? And year 10, when she turned 27, I think it was 27 or 28, she became somebody. And this phenomenon made me realize you're actually nobody on the internet until somebody else references your work, until you become a meme, until the shade bar or the shade room highlight your work, until a bigger creator tags you and references your reels. It's the reality. You're nobody until somebody else writes about you or speaks about you. So what is late? There's no late. It's the journey of you becoming so you to the point that when you're in the public eye, you don't need to deal or feel like you have imposter syndrome. You know exactly who you are. And in this video, that's kind of what I really want to talk about. When you're a quote unquote late bloomer, you're so you that by the time you actually pop off publicly and someone else actually speaks about you and makes you relevant, whatever it is that you get known for, just like Kim Kardashian, you know to not let it affect you. Evidently so, you just use it as leverage because you've probably been in the game or been calculating your steps strategically to position yourself well. Now, I'm not to say Kim Kardashian made the video on purpose, and that's his own conspiracy. But if you keep going back on saying you are nobody until someone else writes about you, and everything up until this point in your life, like for me at the age of 26, I'm only now feeling like I just get started in sales, in entrepreneur, in leadership, with a huge background of failing multiple businesses and hopping into a modeling career, hopping out of it in a heartbeat and going in all dived deep into acting and being shy and tremendously seeing myself grow to the point where I feel so comfortable of being an introvert that's social and I don't feel like I need to explain that to anybody. The point I'm getting at here is sometimes being a late bloomer, you become so you that whatever happens and how you pop off and who you pop off or who speaks about you and how they speak about you, it's not going to change the fact that you're you and you know why you started in the first place. And right onto that topic of just being you, I always kind of wonder what would happen if my first or second business popped off, if I blew up at 21. What does happen to people who pop off early? I look at Kim Kardashian's evolution compared to Justin Bieber's, for example, who popped off early, and I see a lot of differentialities. And if you're young watching this, I do have a couple of questions because I look at myself and I think, okay, what if my first ever YouTube career attempt popped off? Would I actually have ever evolved, or would I have taken risk, or would I have just stuck myself into that own identity? What happened if I actually stayed in acting and when I had short buzz cut hair, my first role was a popular role on a streaming Netflix show? Would I have just attached myself to that look and that whole aesthetic and that whole identity? Or would I have felt comfortable at that time to fully take risks and stretch my whole horizon on who I am and experiment to the depth that I've experimented myself as? Would I have? Do people who pop off early actually evolve? When I was 19, I made a clothing brand called Fat Biscuit. And although it did something extremely well for myself, it allowed me to pay myself into going drama school with my own money, as well as help me carry myself during the whole pandemic. There was so many popping off streetwear brands, and actually Cortez was just starting at the time. If I remember, it was Cade on the map, and I always compared myself to him, as well as Marino Woods, I believe, who was doing these amazing pop-up t-shirts that were dropping. There was a time where Instagram streetwear brand was phenomenal, not as big as it is now, but it was its own niche, and the people were buying. I was growing slowly, and I was taking long to make designs, and most importantly, I just didn't have a social presence. I wasn't popular at all. But seeing me do that along the side as my sister, who grew up with bad society, it made me realize the importance of knowing how to do business over being popular, over having influence and having impact on social media. Just generally be an all in all businesswoman. What you have to think about. And at the end of the day, 99% of businesses fail. And I do know exactly why. People want to do it because of the status to say they own business, but they don't really want to see themselves and build the foundations to build a business or make a business that has worthwhile, has length and is scalable and has the capacity to keep growing without its infrastructure falling. During that time in my life, I felt like I sucked. I was 18, 19, but I was competing with big dogs that had money upfront cost and probably had their best friends chipping in with the inventory and the stock with them. And I was doing it all alone. Not to say I didn't ask my family and parents for help, but it definitely taught me one thing that I didn't know I was invisibly growing. And that was my ability to work backwards and plan ahead. A crucial game for any entrepreneur or anyone that's on their solo journey to figuring out themselves. Actually, that point in my life, I figured I'm not even a popular person and I'm not social. But what happened and the beauty in that, it kind of started pushing me to think outside the box with it when it comes to myself and my skill set. And that's how I kind of started doing improv classes because I didn't want to be awkward. I saw I'm making a business regardless. If I'm not passionate about clothes, I am a business owner. I need to learn how to talk to people. And that was the beginning of me investing in my own social skills as an introvert at the time. All these small ad hoc moments where, you know, that business taught me to become social. So I did an improv class, which made me realize I like acting over modeling. And then I did acting, and acting made me realize I need to have my own edge because there's nothing similar to me and the other black girls on the casting papers. So I buzz cut my hair and bleach dyed it platinum blonde. And that in its own right made me feel gayer than I actually ever was and taught me so much more about LGBTQ and queer eccentricism, exactly all the social skills that helped me be mobile but still be myself in so many different phases. I really taught taste. I taught myself how to have taste in every area of my life. How do I position myself that I still don't feel misunderstood? And I know how to articulate myself to the point where it extends beyond the way I come across aesthetically. That's how I develop taste. And social skills taste, emotional intelligence are now big skills and big attributes about myself that I really, really do value, especially in a place of time where AI is huge and virality is at a fingertip and everyone's chasing. Are late bloomers really late? Or are they just developing real lifelong skills at a quicker, faster rate? Would Kim Kardashian actually would have made a $1 billion business called Skims if she popped off at 18? These are all fair questions. Social mobility, social IQ, emotional intelligence, and taste are things that I actually was able to acquire all because I know and I am a considered quote unquote late bloomer. But these are things that people take in compound of years and decades of existing. And when I took a think about it in the grand scheme of things, I was able to kind of fit that into my own identity, social skills, social mobility, emotional intelligence, and taste, all at the fine age of 26. And I understand that because I have experimented with myself so much so, all because I didn't pop off with my first ever idea. And that actually leads to my next question. What if late bloomers are literally one of the most dangerous niches of human beings ever? Because when I think about it, I combine my abilities for patience, my extreme experience, now wrapped up in this whole grit of hunger because I now know I am just on time and everything's starting to make sense. Is delayed success the best filter for building something real long term? Because I am starting to feel like late bloomers are the real dangerous people. Before we wrap up, my question for you is, what is it that you feel like you're behind on right now? What would it mean to you if this phase was actually you building a foundation, not an identity that's going to probably be worthwhile? Well, thanks for listening, guys. If you've made it to the end of the video, I want you to know that an exquisite person is built, not born. So start building with me and click the like, follow, subscribe button now. Peace.